Watch the headbutts and elbows. No rabbit punches, no low blows. This will not be a clean fight, so protect yourself at all times. The underdogs are coming for the throne. This is the B-Sides Boxing Podcast.
So the only aspect of not fight-related stuff is well that you're going to go through, and touch on other types of I'll be the player for you. I just know this is about it. But,
all right. Welcome back to B-Sides Boxing. Joined today, RG and Drip. You may remember Drip from our inaugural side piece. I didn't cut in the poly clip that I wanted to. I completely forgot about it.
Bro, this is why white people don't watch boxing anymore, bro. There it is.
But a lot to not too much to catch up on. I think we're good from the 13th, and then we'll work our way up to this coming weekend on the 27th. And
Can I just say, like, the idea that Paulie thinks that, like, a casual white fan is going to be like, which, to be fair, I mean, if you're like a Rogan guy, maybe that you will kind of fit that mold. It's kind of who Lomo appeals to a lot of the times. But like the idea that like white.
Danger zone.
Oh man, that's a great way to start a fucking boxing show.
What a way to kick it off, honestly.
Well, we know breaking into the tears of white people.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get to the tears portion in a bit.
We all Italians on the bottom.
But I want to start with Ryan Garcia. He's headed to Camp Derek James, which it really seems like Derek James is amassing. Is he doing the same thing like Eddie Reynoso, where he's collecting a bunch of fighters, but he's not going to have enough time for everyone?
I was just gonna say he's like Reynoso 2.0.
Yeah, definitely feels that way. Like he's just kind of like the flavor trainer of the year. Like
Right.
everyone just thinks that if I have problems, I'll just go to Derek James. No fucking, he's the mirror. It's like, but really, the two fighters he's had the most success with, he's worked with for like years. Like he's worked with Spence since he's a teenager. He's worked with Jamel for what, like 6 years, probably.
Quite a while.
Yeah, like these are long-term guys, so we'll see what happens. It's like back in the day when like Amir Khan went to Virgil Hunter because he wanted to learn defense. It's like a dude, unless he's Andre Ward's brain, he's not gonna be able to teach you that shit. But hey, one good advantage: they both speak the same language, which is a great, huge advantage. For
It
us.
helps.
Very
Yeah,
true.
I always thought that was so odd. I feel like his dad will translate. Like, I just don't feel like that's very practical.
It's not like Pacquiao with Freddie Roach. Boo Boy ended up doing all the fucking coaching. Like, he's spouting off in Tagalog while Freddie Roach is just like, we need the knockout, son. Like,
Yeah.
it just takes time for it to compute. Like, Pacquiao, he can, if he has like a calm environment, not a lot of pressure, he can speak English really well. But like high stakes, every single millisecond counts. We don't have time to be waiting for Freddie Roach to try to get something out, for Pacquiao to try to process it, and then I don't know. It's not a practical way to coach.
I mean, I think that's how like Canelo, Usyk, and Loma are too. Like, just their English is okay. Like, they can speak English and understand it, but like during pressers where it's like just a high-paced environment, they have to have like Aegis or like someone else translate it.
Yeah.
But real quick, to go back to Garcia joining Derek James, I don't think Derek James is gonna fix Ryan's biggest problem, and that's just I don't think Garcia has his heart in it. I feel like after he got dropped in the second round by Tank, those next few rounds he was just lost in there, just trying to stay alive. What can Derek James really fix on Garcia with that?
Might be the same thing with Anthony Joshua. Like,
same shit.
It's a heart issue, not like a skill issue. Who knows? Maybe Derek James has that kind of like drill instructor, drill sergeant kind of thing, where you can whip him into shape, like as far as his personality goes.
I hope so, because if we see one more fight with AJ getting cracked once, and just going like and just like
Falling to
folding to
pieces.
full bitch mode, I'm gonna lose my mind, dude.
Yeah. I think it's a good pairing, though. I keep saying this to everyone who considers Derek James. Like, okay, yes, he's obviously really good with Spence and Jermell, but everyone's ignoring that before he kind of had a meltdown, Jermall Charlo was also doing pretty well. So like Ronnie Shields, not a bad pick either. He's just down the street. And he's got time.
I don't know why nobody ever picks Ronnie. I know AJ was talking about it. He visited him.
Yeah, he did.
I don't even know who works with Ronnie anymore. Jamal, I guess.
That's about it that I know of anyway.
I think AB was a couple years ago. It might be somebody else I'm thinking of though.
Yeah, I think Jamal was like his top guy.
Yeah, because I think him and Jamel both used to train with Ronnie. And then Jamel went to Derek James.
I thought Jermall
so.
was with Derek James and he left for Ronnie Shields.
That might be it. Yeah, it might be the other way around.
Either way, the brothers split up and yeah.
It's probably a good thing. Just so I can get some fucking alone time.
Yeah, Jermall seems to have needed it a bit. Okay, let's get into the recaps. On May 13th, there were 2 cards. The top-ranked card in Stockton, not a whole lot going on here. Johnny Beck, Lim Kanuli, he gets KO2 over Steven. Who the fuck is Butler?
I feel like I've made this joke before, but the minute you said the card was in Stockton, I think we pretty much realized what we were going to get.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot going on here. Steven Butler, the only thing is Jack Reese. I think he wants a fucking body on his record because Steven Butler, from the first knockdown, that guy was fucking done. All right, he was wobbling around. He could barely. He had trouble picking his hands up, and then Jack Reese lets him continue and get battered. 2 more knockdowns, and then eventually stopped. It's typical Jack Reese. He's gonna do what he does. And co-main, Jason Bologna versus Vincent Astrolabio. This was the vacant 118 title. He got the job done. Astrolabio was all right, I guess, but it was just weird that one of the cards came out a draw. All right, in Vegas at the Chelsea Ballroom at the Cosmo. I'm going to start from the bottom on this one. Kenneth Sims gets the majority decision over Batir Akhmedov. What was this? This was a WBA 140 eliminator. It was a really close fight, if I recall correctly, but one of the cards was 8-4 for Sims, which, like, recurring theme here. Just something that I remembered. And Rancis Barthélemy, whatever. Apparently, Barthelемy's getting a shot at Subriel Matias, so rest in peace, Rancis. All right, the fucking
and now
meat.
the hot take.
Yeah, the meat of the dish. Rolando Romero gets a stoppage in 9 over Ismael Barroso, who was the number 1 contender for Puello's WBA 140 title. Puello pisses hot. Ismael and Romero get a crack at the title between each other until Puello figures his life out. All right, if you know what Barroso looks like, he certainly looks considerably older than 40. Nonetheless, he did to try to use like old timer phrasing. He really gave that whippersnapper what for. Like, I think he knocked down Romero twice, was it, or one of them was ruled a slip or something?
But I know Romero went down once.
Yeah, for sure. And he was eating like left hands all fight. That was not even close. Like, that would have been a fucking wide decision if it was scored objectively. But Tony Weeks steps in to stop the fight. Romero landed like 1 punch. Barroso kind of went back to the ropes. Raleigh starts swinging, and on replay you can see he doesn't land a single fucking punch and is actively swinging back. And Tony Weeks steps in and stops it for Romero.
Yeah, I saw the slow-mo video of it, and yeah, I mean, Riley's just fucking hitting opportunity in air.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the worst stoppages I've seen, like, in my entire life. Like, what was Meldrick Taylor and JCC Senior? Mm-hmm. That last 10 seconds, Taylor gets stopped by the ref, like, and growing up, like, JCC was like Superman to me, and even like looking back on it, I'm like, God, why would you? Man, that just really takes the air out of it.
So one thing I saw was, like, I guess someone was not trying to defend the stoppage, but they're saying, like, from Tony Weeks' point of view, all you could see was like Romero's back and that he was throwing punches. So I guess you couldn't see Barroso throwing back, which is kind of a shit take because like Weeks could have stepped it aside and saw everything. But yeah, all in all, it's shit stoppage, which I'm surprised because like they're not like pushing for like a rematch or anything, or just there's nothing really going about that. Just they took the L and that's it.
Barroso was saying it like, I think if I recall correctly in the post fight, he was obviously upset, but he didn't really seem fired up which is to say like he didn't seem he was gonna try to take it further to get it overturned or anything like that.
Unlike Team Loma.
Yeah. I have it here. Barroso's the people's champion because
yeah, definitely.
Because he beat Romero's ass and he was legitimately robbed, actually robbed, not the bullshit that we saw, or the bullshit that people are saying about May 20th. Which, speaking of, in Dublin, Ireland, Chantal Cameron gets the majority decision over Katie Taylor. This was undisputed versus undisputed, so take that for what you will. But Katie Taylor takes her first L, and it looks like they're going to be pursuing a rematch there. So that should be fun. That was a
banger.
Yeah, the fight was really fun. So that's pretty cool. Gary Coley, another matchroom guy, gets his ass beat by a Mexican fighter. Jose Felix stops him in 3, and that looked like a legitimate David versus Goliath, because Gary Coley is tall as fuck, and Jose Felix looked pretty small. That was cool though. All right, MGM Grand Garden Arena.
Wait, I just realized, isn't it Gary Coley's like alias, the Diva?
Yes. Yes, it is.
That is a strange one. I mean, listen, man, let him do his thing. But I just remembered that. I was like, oh, that's definitely a strange alias.
All right, just so we have to spend more time on the main event, let's go bottom up real quick. I am a big fan of Abdullah Mason, so I wanted to mention him. Mm-hmm. He gets a stoppage in 6. Nico, I missed the Mason fight. I had to rewatch it, or watch a replay. Nico Ali Walsh gets a split draw with Danny Rosenberger. I think I came in around like round 2 or 3, and it didn't look like Nico was doing very well. Is that the case? Did he do as bad as I was watching or as I was thinking?
I missed that fight, so I only got a hot take of the small highlights. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to gauge because, like, I guess how good is Nico anyway?
I don't know if you know this, but he's Muhammad Ali's grandson. So
I did know that. So I guess he's got big shoes to fill. But I mean, I guess it's hard to gauge. Like, what was his best performance compared to this one?
He's been pretty middling his entire career, to be honest with you.
Right.
They lean on that Ali card heavy because that's pretty much all they got.
Keep it real. Like, I guess without like that being grandfathered in, he'd kind of be just a very, very low tier. I mean, he kind of is now just a low tier fighter.
Yeah. RG, you got any shit to throw on Nico?
I didn't see any of these spots except for the main event, I'll be honest.
All right.
I was at work.
Then let's press on. Oscar Valdez looks pretty middling.
Dude, I'm not a fan of Valdez. Like, I just don't see the hype around him. Hot take on that one, but I just don't see the hype around Valdez.
I think most people kind of feel that way, to be honest. He just had a lot of disappointing performances in his career.
Yeah,
the only time he wasn't he killed Burchell, but the first time he fought Lopez, he looked like dog shit.
Yeah, just shit performances. Didn't he like piss hot one time also? Like last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Who's the guy that broke his jaw? Do you remember, Leo?
Scott Quigg.
Scott Quigg. He got his jaw broken by Scott Quigg back in the day. I don't know. He's just had a lot of pretty shitty performances. He's definitely got talent, but not much of a brain.
And then Shakur fucking dismantled him.
Yeah, that was always a pretty obvious outcome.
Yeah.
Didn't expect him to look as pedestrian as he did, though. I think that might be part of the trouble. Is I was expecting him to at least put up a decent fight, but he was just completely lost against Shakur. I mean, I put a link in here to the divisional rankings that I put out, which at the top it says if you got a fucking problem, my contact info's at the bottom. I'm waiting to hear from you. But I don't have him listed in the top 5. I got Hector Garcia, Oshaki Foster, Joe Cordina, Navarrete. I don't really like him, but I mean, I guess you kind of can't deny it a little bit. And then I got Shavkat Rakhimov at number 5, despite Valdez him coming off a loss to Cordina. Nonetheless, he looked better in his loss against Cordina than Valdez looked in this win over Adam Lopez. That's just my take on him.
I could rock with that, actually.
It's unfortunate, but Valdez, I don't know. I should have seen the writing on the wall. I went down to Tucson to cover one of his fights against Genesis Cervania, and he got rocked hard and put down like towards the end of the fight. I'm like, man, you're having trouble with Genesis Cervania? There's something going on here, and it's not good. But if nothing more on Valdez, then we can move on to
just a BRT fighter.
Yeah. Raymond Murataya gets a stoppage over Jeremiah Nakatila. I hadn't seen much of Murataya before this, so I can't really speak to him.
Yeah. Not me either.
But there you go. It was a fun stoppage, so if you want to watch that, watch that. Now, danger close missile from Junto Nakatani to stop Andrew Maloney in the last round, I think in the last minute, to claim the vacant 115 title in the WBO. And yeah, that was a fun fight. Maloney, super tough, very spirited, ton of heart, all the cliches.
Bro, the way he went down,
yes,
it's just he fucking folded.
I was trying to think of a softer way to put it. Like, I was scared for him. Like, he just, the way the camera was, the angle the camera had on him laid out, it looked bad. Like, his face was all fucked up and bloody. And
he was twitching too, I'm pretty
sure. He's not moving. He was twitching, and then he just stops moving. And Jesus, not like this. I didn't want to see this.
Yeah.
I would like to avoid seeing a man get beaten to death if I can. Just not on my bucket list of things to do. But Nakatani, 115. Is it that Maloney is hot garbage, or is Nakatani a legitimate threat?
I want to say a mix of both, honestly. I don't say Maloney's hot garbage. Will I say he's a pressing matter? No. I think also Nakatani kind of just timed that punch very well. It looked like it was just a looping overhand left. He set up with 2 jabs.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just a bit of mix of Maloney not being the best. Nakatani just got, I don't want to say a lucky punch, but just timed it very well. Yeah,
I mean, the right hand, left hand situation played out in other fights as well. So this was just another example of how the Southpaw Orthodox, your strong hand's gonna find a home if you're not a fucking moron, which Nakatani does not seem to be.
Nah, I think he was gonna win that fight regardless, even on the cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think
Maloney was getting his ass beat.
Yeah, but you know what? He showed up the fight though. Maloney didn't quit. He kept pushing the issue, so gotta give him his props.
This was one of those ones, I want to say about round 10 is where I started asking the question, is this one of those cases where Maloney's corner should pull him out? The dude's way behind. He's getting cracked clean by Junto's left. What more do we need to see here?
That's actually, I feel like a good topic of conversation for later even possibly. It's kind of at what point should your corner pull you out?
I keep saying it. I'm not going to stop saying it. Kevin Cunningham pulling out Erickson Lubin against Sebastian Fundora. Brilliant. That maybe could have done it a round sooner, but nonetheless, Lubin was getting his ass beat. It doesn't matter how your pride, your fighter's pride, it doesn't matter. That's what you're here for. You're supposed to stop. You're supposed to prevent situations like David Morrell versus Yerbunusali, the Kazakh guy that is, thankfully he's doing well. He seems to be doing better, but I really think that there's going to be a lot of hesitation to get back in the ring. Just my take on it.
If I have a ending KO like that in my career, where I'm just hospitalized at that point, I'm just gonna retire, bro. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, that was fucking scary.
Didn't Gabe Rosado's corner pull him out of the Triple G fight? He was just getting battered, or was it a stoppage? I don't remember. It was so
either
long
the ref or the corner did it, but it was because he was getting beat the hell up. The ref wanted his eye checked by the doctor, and the doctor was saying like, "This is really bad." And then Rosato's like, "Hey, this is a world championship fight, man. Like, what? You can't do this to me." And the doctor's like, "I don't care. I don't care if this is a championship fight. Like, you are getting your ass kicked."
Yeah, that was bad, dude. He got the shit kicked out of him. I think
Golovkin's white gloves, shoes, and trunks were pink. Ugh.
I think didn't Kell Brooks corner throw on a towel too?
I want to say against Spence.
Nah, Triple G also.
Oh yeah, yeah. He got his orbitals busted.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, Triple G got one eye. Spence got the other.
Dude, that's fucking.
Yeah,
Kell Brooks, bro.
That's pretty rough.
Just retire, my dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he did, but.
I'm glad Maloney's doing all right, because that was a scary KO. Congrats to Nakatani.
We will watch your career with great interest.
Okay, now the meat of this dish. Devin Haney, the undisputed lightweight champion, gets a unanimous decision win over Vasyl Lomachenko. The scores were thus. Cheatham had it 115-113, Sutherland 115-113, and Dave Moretti 116-112. I did a little poll in Discord, just the regulars, and it was 6 for Haney, 6 for Loma, 2 seeing a draw. So that I personally saw a draw as well. I'm not fussed either way about the result. I wouldn't have been fussed because both of them put on really good performances. That was a level of Haney I hadn't seen before, and I was really glad I was there for it.
Yeah, I would also be okay with the draw or Loma win. I just don't think Haney did enough. Like, I feel like he was just in first gear the whole fight. I mean, granted, he picked it up at some points, but he never took advantage of it. Meanwhile, Loma cracked him a few times, had him on, looked like some wobbly legs.
Towards the end, yeah.
Granted, Loma, for some odd reason, likes to take the 12th round off. God bless his soul. But
that was his undoing, if nothing else.
I think the fight started off close, but as it went on, I think the margin got wider with Loma taking it. So I would have been okay with the draw. I would have saw that, but I just don't personally think Haney did enough to secure a victory.
RG, where are you at here?
Haney won. I thought it was pretty much the decision, personally. I just thought Loma, when he fights like good lightweights, he just doesn't do his thing. He wastes a lot of time. And, Radley will always use the word downloading, but to me it looked like not throwing no fucking punches, which is pretty much how you lose rounds in boxing, as far as I know. And Loma spent a lot of time not throwing no damn punches. I think he was trying to steal rounds with flurries. It worked sometimes, it didn't work other times. Here's the issue.
He did throw flurries towards the end of the rounds, and they weren't landing at all, but the crowd was excited for him.
Yeah, they weren't. It wasn't clear that they were landing. Maybe some of them were, some of them weren't. The thing with a guy like Haney, he fucking is like really squirrely and moves around all the time, so it's really hard to tell if you're hitting him or not. He's whipping his head all over the fucking place regardless. The issue with that strategy is it's hard to like string consistent rounds together, in my opinion. Like on my card, I had it 7-5 to Haney. I did not give Loma back-to-back rounds until 10-11. He would just steal around and then lose one, steal one, lose two, steal one, lose two. He just wasn't putting them together. I think he just kept stealing rounds. He wasn't taking the initiative enough, in my opinion. I think it was way too reactionary. I mean, not to say it wasn't a close fight and that you couldn't ever possibly score a Loma or a draw. Like those are definitely possibilities. But just in my opinion, I think he just kind of blew it. He just doesn't really leave it all out there. Like, that 12th round, that was bullshit. Dude, he did not take the 12th round off. That motherfucker was gassed. He threw by far the most punches he had in round 10 and 11. Round 12, he was gassed. He lost the round. Which is like, if you blow the first half of the fight, which most people agree, he pretty much blew the first half of the fight. I mean, Haney was probably up 4-2 at that point. And then you, quote unquote, take off the last round. I mean, there's like 5 rounds gone right off the bat.
His game plan has always been just so funky because it's like you said, it's never consistent. Because even with the Tio fight, same shit. First half of the fight, did not a fucking thing.
Literal entire first half, nothing.
Yeah, start to pick it up round 7 through 11. 12th, just either took it off or just didn't care enough, thought he won. And it just seems like this is his game plan every single time. Start slow, steal some rounds in the middle, take a round or two off towards the end, and just try to kick into high like Maximum Overdrive.
I gave up like round by round scoring. It's been a while, at least a year, but if not longer. I keep it as more of general feeling of how it's going, and by like in this case, this was a fight of thirds, where the first four were to me were pretty even. Like you could give rounds to both guys. The middle, Lomachenko turned it up, and then towards the end, Haney turned it up in the middle, and then Lomachenko almost closed the show, but he didn't. He definitely did. That last round was he was really banking on the stoppage there, I think in 10 or 11, and when he didn't get it, he blew his load. Pause.
The one thing I noticed that Haney didn't really throw a lot of combinations. He threw to the body here and there.
Yeah.
But, like, he never really doubled up anything, did any like straights or with a hook or anything. Just straight jabs, a couple body shots, and that's it. And that's kind of my problem with it too. It's like, did Haney really do enough to win just off a couple of jabs and body shots? I mean, clearly he did, but that was kind of my problem with it. Like I said, it looked like he was in first gear the whole fight, just picking off like counters. He got some good hits in there, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of the fight he won because they were just hyping up his body work, which didn't seem to bother Loma too much. Maybe towards the end it did, but I just don't think Haney did enough. And with that performance, makes me question, like, is someone like Shakur or Tank gonna just pulverize him?
It's interesting how this fight has just turned Haney into like the villain of the movie.
It sure
Actual
has.
heel.
Yeah, like, even Reddit, who like obviously despise like all these fight, like Tank or Shakur, or whatever, especially, I guess they've kind of grown on Shakur a little bit. But dude, they're all like, "Oh, Tank's gonna murder him. Tank in one. Tank, Tank KO." It's like, damn, if you get Redditors to support Tank, like you got some heat.
Yeah,
Dude, for real.
you really do. Tank is one of the ones that Reddit fucking hates for no reason. Yeah. Outside of the ring stuff, whatever.
And part of the tragedy of like Devin Haney is it is just impossible for this fucking guy to get credit, like regardless of what you think about it. Because it's like, okay, tried to fight Loma in 2019, goes through the mandatory thing. Loma opts to fight Tiafimo, so he gets the quote unquote email championship, and that's his label for all this fucking time. Then it's like he tries to fight Tiafimo or whoever. Tiafimo loses to Kambosos. He beats Kambosos. Everybody's like, easiest undisputed ever, which is true. It was a completely dog shit opponent. But still, it's like, you ain't fought nobody legit. Fights Loma, close decision, Robert, you're not legit. It's like, this fucking guy just cannot possibly get credit, like, either way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think if he beat Loma, like, more convincingly, people would give him his credit. But, I mean, there's still, like, almost a week out, still controversies going on.
Yeah, I think it's just the idea that, like, a lot of people have that, like, Loma deserves to win.
That's what it is.
Definitely the Loma privilege.
Yeah.
And even if going into the fight, like, he deserves to win it because that's been his goal. He hasn't been undisputed. He kind of blew it versus Tiafimo. This is his big shot again. So Loma's one of those guys that doesn't really have a hallmark win. Like, he doesn't really have that one where you're like, that was the peak. Like, what are you going to say? It was Gary Russell's third fight? That was his peak? And it's been downhill since there? Like, you can't, like, I think a lot of people wanted this to be the defining win, and it wasn't, I think that's part of where a lot of the outrage comes from.
Yeah, I mean, we can all agree, like, keep it at being, like, Tiafimo beat him fair and square. That was pretty convincing. Like, maybe you could edge that one to a draw too, but I'm going to say Tiafimo beat him pretty convincingly. Just countered him all night, took away his angles. Whereas I feel like Devin Haney, it wasn't that convincing. I just wasn't sold on that win. And no hit against Devin. Like, I think he's a very skilled boxer, but
one thing about Devin, he is like incredibly, I don't know if smart is the word or lucky is the word. I think it's a combination of both with his career management. This dude is like, he has all the belts and he's a free agent at a Top Rank. When does that ever happen? You know what I mean?
All right.
Like, the fights rigged for Haney. Dude, they have Loma on like a lifetime contract. Loma's going to be like 85 doing Top Rank commercials. He's going to Haney is done. Like, Paulie was talking about, they re-signed him. That's total bullshit. DeBella and Haney both said it's not true. He's a free agent.
I saw actually that an article that looks like Earn with Hearn is going to try to pick up Haney, but apparently Haney's too expensive.
Yeah, I don't know that he can afford that anymore. I mean, Haney his guarantee was $4 million.
When he was first with Matchroom?
Yeah, he was first in Matchroom, and his guarantee was like $3 million, $3 million, which was already insane. I just don't think they could, because I think the issue is part of the reason he went to Top Rank is because they were going to have to give him pay cuts. You know, I think that was part of the issue. They couldn't.
Right.
So I don't know if they would be able to afford it now that he's undisputed and wants more money.
Yeah, it sounds like Eddie Hearn made Devin Haney expensive. Like, just the product of his own environment, I guess.
Like Haney, I think Haney's like, and his dad are like pretty smart in terms of like not like if you like okay, complete opposite ends of the spectrum, like Devin Haney and like Terrence Crawford. Okay, like Terrence Crawford was 30, third division he's been champion in, making the same guarantee as Devin Haney when he's 21. Like just totally different. Like I think a guy like Haney is very in tune, like just the logics of making fights and making money. I think it'll probably be Tank next. I mean, if he's a true free agent, I mean, shit.
Yeah, it sounds like Devin Haney succeeding where Teofimo failed, where Teo was trying to sell himself so high and it just didn't work. Whereas now Devin is worth very high amounts of money.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like Devin, despite not really being like, it's not that he has no fans. He does decent enough gates, like decent crowds show up. People talk about the fight, but he doesn't really have like a Tank fan base or a Ryan fan. So the fact that he's been able to make the amount of money he has and raise his value so high despite that is like really impressive, honestly. Almost no one thinks Haney is the guy.
You are not the guy. You're not capable of being the guy.
Yeah.
Like people either think Shakur or it's like Tank. Pretty much everyone is going to pick one of those two.
I was going to say, like, I don't think Haney's the guy either.
Yeah, me either.
As good as he is, like, that's not me disparaging him.
Yeah, that's why it's impressive that he's been able to go smart. I do think, though, I mean, I would never pick him, but I think there's like a non-zero chance he can win against like Tank. I just feel like I feel like Tank has never really fought someone like Haney, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would pick Tank knockout. Like, if I had to put money down, that's where I'm going. But I think people say he has zero chance. Well, if they fight like 10 times, I think Haney would win at least once, I don't think he has no chance.
Yeah, I don't give him no chance. I give him a chance. I'll put it that way. But I just think Tank takes all the way.
Yeah, because he does get, shook pretty often. It's always like at the same point, He pretty much always gets caught at the same point in the fight, like 10, 11. It's always around there.
Well, actually, I mean, I guess that brings the next question of if Tank and Devin do fight, is there going to be like a hydration clause like there was with everybody else? Because, I mean, Haney seemed like he was pretty massive, and Tank's, 5'3"?
I don't think so in that case. Just because Haney, it would be like a 50-50 split. I think they would take that. Maybe it's slightly in Tank's favor. I don't think that would be a deal breaker for Haney. But I think no refrigeration clause would be like a huge thing for Haney's camp.
Yeah, definitely.
Been like, hey, listen, I got all the belts. I'm coming over here. I'm accepting whatever split. No rehydration clause. Like, period.
Yeah, give and take.
So I guess it makes you wonder like how that fight will play out, like Haney versus Tank.
Yeah, that's as we move on with this. I want to stay with Haney and Lomachenko, but like, what are the next possibilities for Haney now? Tank and Shakur, obviously, right? Those are the two that everybody wants.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's Shakur. I just don't think Top Rank will be able to get him back into that ecosystem. I think he's just smart enough to realize, dude, I'm going to make so much more money if I fight Tank. And if I win, dude, massive for my career.
Could even retire on that.
Yeah, which I think
he wouldn't. Be around. I don't think he will, but he could.
Yeah, I think
Loma,
either Tank and Shakur next, but or does he duck them, vacate, and go to 140?
I think the only way he would go to 140 is if he were just on a Top Rank. So he'd be going for the Teofimo Taylor.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, if Top Rank manages to re-sign him, because it does not seem like Devin is particularly happy with Top Rank and the way they're framing the fight. That would be very.
Didn't he call Bob like a racist or some shit?
He said he was like old and blind or something. He said he was like sleeping during the fight. Something like that.
It's not news that Bob Arum and promoting black fighters is not his forte.
Yeah, it's just so obvious, like what you can tell the future by just the way like Top Rank behaves, because like it's very clear that Haney's gone, and they're gonna frame it as, well, it was kind of weird, like Haney probably shouldn't have won it. Loma's kind of the real champion, and they're gonna do Loma Shakur, like very obvious from Top Rank. I mean, that's why they had Shakur in there 2 seconds after talking about Loma won the fight. Loma clearly won, all that.
Ew, Loma Shakur next. I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that one.
Yeah, the sheen gets more and more like, with every loss, kind of, well, now that it's after Haney, it's not really as impressive. It's kind of like I feel like Shakur would be a pretty heavy favorite if they made that fight.
I read an article that said Lomachenko hasn't been beaten, like technically, if you really look at it.
Jesus Christ. The fucking grasping at straws is insane.
Yeah. The videos are already coming out, like the half speed, volume down, highlighting every, like, if Lomachenko breathes on Devin Haney, like, they're scoring that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Same thing like Pacquiao Mayweather. Like, come on, man. Like, he lost, dude. Just get over it.
I think Loma should just, honestly, like, I mean it's like sincerely, I think he should just take his career and retire, man. Because, like, what's he gonna do next? Like, fight three or four more fights to, like, earn that title shot again? Or are they gonna get that turnover and make him number one for a rematch? If not, it's like, dude, just retire right after the sunset. You made your money, you made your impact on boxing. Just take it and go.
I think a pretty likely comeback would be Kambosos, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I think I had mentioned
Very-
that the night of.
That just seems like such a top-ranked fight, Lomachenko Kambosos.
Dude, I would 100%. That'd be like a comedic relief. That would be comedic relief at its best.
It just seems they've got two former unified champions.
Yakety Sax is the only song they're allowed to come out to. Nothing else.
Dude, if we see a fucking, like, 40-year-old Loma trying for Undisputed again, I might just, like, throw an apple at my TV.
I think he'll fight for another, like, 2 years. How old is he now? 34, 35?
35 or 36, I think. He's pushing it.
He's gonna rematch Orlando Salido.
Yeah, it's a shame that never happened.
It is.
Battle the ball busters.
Yep.
Topper was not trying to pay no money.
Yeah. Salido. That's one of my favorite ones to, like, there's so many, like, Lomachenko, it's almost like hero worship that, like, RG, you were saying, like, oh, he deserves this, he deserves this. Like, no, the fuck he does not. He's got to earn it.
Yeah, dude, that Loma privilege.
He didn't deserve to win a world title in his second fight. He has to fucking earn it. And before you, like, every time, if you come at me with low blows, I'm gonna say, if the ref's not calling it, then it's legal. You do it too. That's it.
The thing is that boxing is one of the few sports where you're allowed to just punch a motherfucker in the mouth. You know what I mean? Like, it's actively encouraged. So if somebody does that, you have the option of punching that motherfucker in the mouth.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about cheating, okay? It's just, like, there's really no recourse for, like, the noble loser. Nobody cares, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody really cares. And anybody who does care is going to seem like a crybaby. Pretty much.
Lomachenko
So
fans, you mean?
Yeah, like, you're just going to seem very bitter. About the fact you kind of got out-hustled. Which is really what it comes down to a lot of the time. Like, bro, it's a dirty game. You could die out there. It's a little tap for the balls. In terms of the worst things you could do to somebody, not that hot. Not that hot.
Kovalev fans against Andre Ward.
Exactly. It's like, dude, hey, if you don't know the game by now, you deserve to lose. This little elbow comes over. Listen, you should have seen that coming. I don't have to tell you. Know your own. You know
Dude,
what I mean?
it's so true though, because, like, when I was boxing, like, all my coaches I've had, they would all say things like, sometimes you gotta make it a dirty fight when you're in the pocket. Just maybe slide an elbow through or something.
But yeah, just nobody really cares about the guy who, like, follows all the rules all the time. Like, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, bro. I mean, like you said, you could die in there, so fuck it. Like, if it's gonna be a dirty fight, I'll make it a dirty fight.
Yeah.
It's like Hopkins, for example. Like, okay, some people, like, label him a cheater. It's like, it worked, didn't it? Like, if he didn't fight that way, what would his legacy be?
Didn't Loma, like, hip toss Haney at one point in the fight?
It was something weird for sure. And
Yeah.
then Haney kind of, like, was down on his shoulders, kind of, like, forced him down. It was definitely got a little physical at times.
I think as the frustration was building, that's when Lomachenko started doing, like, dirty shit, like, throw him, okay, get him off his feet and make him spend his energy getting back up.
That's the thing with Haney. It's like, he's just so, especially compared to Loma, he's just so tall and long. I mean, he can just wrap his arms around it.
Yeah, he's really physically imposing. That's what he does, even if he has no power on the inside.
It's like, I mean, there's an interview where Tony Bellew's talking about how, like, he hugged Deontay Wilder, and he said it felt like he was getting hugged by a 7-foot-tall cricket. It's like, I mean, that's proof. Like, when Haney would just wrap Loma up, like, he couldn't really do anything with it.
A 7-foot-tall cricket?
I think that's what he said.
That choice of words is crazy.
Yeah. What?
Or did he say Mr.? Or maybe he said Mr. Cricket. I don't know if Mr. Cricket's a character. There's some kind of cricket.
Jiminy Cricket?
Dude, that choice of words is just insane.
I'm really curious what he means by cricket. Like what?
Oh, well, Tony Bellew from
Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely makes a comment.
Yeah.
No. Cricket has those long ass arms. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was the hind legs are really, really powerful.
It's a very hard comparison, but yeah, because he said he hugged him and like his arms like wrapped all the way around. You know, he said he was like tickling his ears, which I'm just gonna assume.
What the fuck? Dude, wow, there's on that freak shit.
Yeah, Bellew, it was like one of the funniest Bellew moments of all time for sure. Let's see how to find this shit. I'll throw it in the chat.
That mention of Wilder tickling his Bellew's ears reminds me of this video of a NBA like sports reporter or whatever. He's on the court, he has a beard, and then Shaq walks up behind him and then like caresses his beard, but Shaq is so fucking big that you can't, like, from his chest up you can't see him, and so it's just this giant hand coming in out of nowhere and rubbing this dude's face. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's fucking spooky. Like, that would freak me out if somebody did that to me. All right, anything more on Haney Lomachenko? Because like we're thinking Haney is gonna look for maximum cash, which is probably Tank. Lomachenko needs something to avoid going back to the Ukrainian front, and looks like Kambosos is gonna be it.
That sums it up pretty well, honestly.
Yeah. That was another reason that people were saying that Lomachenko deserves it, because of the war in Ukraine. Like how
what the fuck's that? What's that got to do with boxing though? Like,
how are you gonna rob somebody whose country is being, pillaged?
I think it's just hilarious when like these like faceless, soulless entities try to like, I don't know, they try to like impose like real life politics. Like the WBA won't. What is it? They won't like sanction like a Bivol to fight Beterbiev. Yeah. It's like they're both from Russia. From Russia. What the fuck are we talking about? Like what is that? Like what? I don't even understand.
Kyrgyzstani. What the fuck is this?
I think it's just because Bivol does not have a U.S. citizenship. Beterbiev does have a Canadian citizenship, so they count him as Canadian. Hey, quick game. Look up Beterbiev Kadyrov and just see how many different pictures there are. Try and find me a picture of fucking Bivol and Kadyrov. I bet you can't. Bivol just chills in Riverside or wherever the fuck, wherever the fuck he trains out of. Has a good time. I don't know where Riverside is. Is that where Zhang lives? I can't remember. Like Riverside, New Jersey or something?
Riverside is between Indio and LA.
Is in California? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think there is one in Jersey though too.
Might be. Probably. Like there's... Everyone recycles fucking city names. Riverside Rocky. Was that Josecito Lopez or Luis Colazo?
It was Josecito, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But Riverside Rocky.
Josecito. So you're retired?
Yeah, I think so.
I always liked him. He was a good fighter.
All right. That's going to do it for recaps. Now, we got a busy weekend, which is good, I think. The Aztec invasion of the British Isles continues with...
Love that.
In Manchester, we have Lara rematching Lee Wood. This is the WBA title. On the undercard, worth mentioning, Jack Catterall versus Dara Foley. Foley, you may remember from Robbie Davies' ankle break fame, and Catterall from beating Lee Wood fame.
That's Catterall that beat Taylor, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yes.
A couple weights off from Lee Wood.
Yeah, I don't know where the fuck I made that connection. But in Ireland, another featherweight title, the IBF this time. Luis Venado Lopez versus fuck you, Mickey Conlan. So something worth pointing out on this one is if you look at the IBF rankings, which I spent more time than I should have doing that, they don't use positions 1 or 2. Very, very, very seldomly. So this Japanese fighter, Abe Rea, or Rea Abe, if you want to use the Western name configuration, he's the number 1 contender. So IBF being who they are, the winner's going to have to fight this Japanese fella. But it's probably going to be Luis Lopez because I refuse to acknowledge any possibility of Mickey Conlan winning. and that has zero basis in like firm objective reality. I just don't like him. All right, in Dorset, Okoli defends quick turnaround, defends his title against Chris Billum-Smith, the number one contender for the WBO title. So like the other two, because they're featherweight fights, I expect that like Top Rank Matchroom, they're gonna have competing time slots. I really hope that Okoli and who's he with, Boxer and Sky, that they staggered a little bit, because otherwise no one's gonna fucking watch Okoli. It's not gonna happen. He's obviously successful, but he's not very exciting to watch.
No, not at all. I forgot Okoli was even a fighter.
He did like it plucked at my heartstring when he first won his belt, and in the post-fight interview they were talking about how he was homeless, working at a McDonald's, and like that was, he didn't really have a whole lot going on for him, and then he went to a boxing gym and they set him up. So that's really cool. It's a really great story, but man, could you have not taught this guy to maybe knock people out a little more? I don't know.
Have like a personality or something.
All right, so yeah, that's it for this weekend. June 3rd is pretty light, so that's obviously the following weekend. Wednesday, May 31st is when Pro Box should be having a Wednesday night fights, but I don't see anything on their schedule, so I don't know, they might be skipping it. But still, they usually have it every 2 weeks. This is supposed to be the week that they do it. So keep an eye out for that if you like Club Kids. And on June 3rd, we talked about Ardriel Holmes a few weeks ago when he was on a Showbox. So he's back here against Wendy Toussaint. And Wendy, I've never seen a man named Wendy before.
A man named Wendy?
Yeah,
Ooh.
Wendy Toussaint. So that's pretty cool, I guess, if you like oddities. But yeah, Ardriel Holmes, 154 guy. He's climbing up the ladder a bit. I think RG, you put it best. Like when you see somebody on Showbox and they do pretty decently, just keep that name in the back of your mind, because you're gonna see them in 18 to 24 months. You'll start seeing them on more cards.
It is kind of crazy. You ever seen that breakdown of like on Showbox, then became world champions?
It's like 80.
Some of you wouldn't even expect. Yeah, like Tyson Fury. Like
Andre Ward.
Well, was it Fury Cunningham? Maybe it was on Showbox, or Fury Johnson. I don't know. One of the two. But yeah, just a shit ton of
Tim Bradley. I think,
Andre Ward.
Juan Manuel Marquez. I think, if not his brother.
Devin Haney. Devin Haney was on Showbox when he was like 19.
Errol Spence. Another one.
Yes.
So yeah, Ardriel Holmes, at least, is just somebody to keep an eye on. There ain't shit else going on that Saturday, so if you're a fucking degenerate and you need boxing in your life, you can join me, and I will be watching it. I'll try to find a way to watch it, because I don't see a broadcaster for it. This is at the Little Caesars Arena. I wrote that one
Michigan?
down. Yeah, I wrote that one down because it's in Detroit. Yeah, but that's it as far as previews. Not a whole lot coming up in the next couple of weeks after the 27th, but we'll try to highlight anything that's even like moderately relevant. Hold on a second. Hot tweet, Michael Benson. This will actually take us into our outro. So Usyk and Daniel Dubois is pretty much set. I think they won the purse bid, so the contract negotiation is underway, and it's going to be in Poland. Wrocław.
Poland?
Yeah.
What? How do they manage that one?
Random as fuck.
I think the idea is just close to Ukraine.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it close to the Ukrainian border, I'm going to guess?
Yeah. It's just the logic.
Have Ukrainians come if they can. So yeah, that's happening. In other heavyweight news, Tyson Fury's talks seems to be starting to talk with Francis Ngannou. That's fucking stupid. And then John Jones also said, "Hey, come to the cage." Like Tyson Fury's gonna do that. I don't think there's any dollar amount that you could give him that would get Tyson Fury into an MMA cage.
Oh, never.
All right. Speaking of MMA, this is one I wanted to point out as a little bit of a plug for Ultimate Fucking Casual. If you like MMA, we talk about that stuff over there. But RG, you're a bit of an MMA guy as well, and Poirier Gaethje, that's announced for the 29th. Same day as Spence Crawford, unfortunately for me. But any first thoughts?
I think it's a pretty good fight. I think it was probably inevitable at this point that they had to make that. Neither guy really kind of deserves a title shot. Both coming off wins. Gaethje beat Russian dude Fiziev. Poirier beat in there, I think. Yeah, it makes sense. The first fight was great. I pretty much think Poirier will win again.
Oh, this is a rematch.
Yeah.
Oh.
They fought in 2018, from 2019, something like that. Poirier knocked him out. But Gaethje hurt him like a lot of times. That's where Gaethje, he landed like that crazy ass like spin kick thing he does, where he just like
the fucking
like,
cyclone kick thing.
Yeah, he like rolled into a ball like fucking Sonic the Hedgehog and like throwing himself forward. One of the strangest things you'll ever see. So maybe we'll see that again. I just think Poirier's a lot smarter. I think he's better gas tank.
And Gaethje's had a lot of mileage in the intervening years.
I think Poirier's just a lot better with counters. I think he'll a lot of counters again and probably beat him. But that whole card is pretty good though. I can't think of the other fights. I know Blachowicz Piera. I think that's the co-main. That's a really good fight. I'm surprised Pierre's back so soon. But
yeah, something that I had asked on
his choice.
I asked on the Ultimate Casuals, like he lost to Adesanya, he lost his title, and he moves up, and he's ranked number 1 versus the number 3 guy. I'm not sure how this happens.
Yeah, it's a little strange. I guess the logic, he's a former champion. The thing with the UFC rankings is they don't make any sense. They're clearly made up. Like, McGregor was in the lightweight rankings for like years without a win.
So it's like money rankings.
Yeah. It's just nonsense. It's just what they want it to look like. You know? Like, oh my gosh, the number 1 versus the number 3 guy. You know, it's like they made those rankings like that morning.
Yeah, that's really what it seems like.
The pound for pound in boxing is stupid, but at least it's like everyone has their own. Dude, the UFC has like an official pound for pound, and it's always so dog shit. You know what I mean? It's always so bad. The fact they even like try to present those lists as legitimate is just disgusting.
Yeah, that's why the only pound for pound lists you can trust are on lvxentertainment.net. Be sure to check. Be sure to check those out.
That was a sick plug-in.
Yeah, absolutely. The only list you can trust. It's the only voice in this crazy combat sports world that you can trust. Speaking of the 29th, Spence Crawford, finally, it's happening.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening! Stay calm! Everybody calm down!
Everyone is like on board with this. It's official. None of this like, talks are going well, or other, fluffy nonsense. Like it's legit. Showtime already announced the pay-per-view. I don't know how they're relevant to it, but BLK Prime went from having like 8 followers on Twitter to like 6,000 in a matter of like a day. So that's pretty cool for them, I guess. And let's get some immediate thoughts. Drip, kick us off here with like Spence Crawford. What are we looking at? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Oh, Spence all the way. I'm trying to think of like a catchy name for the Spence vs. Crawford teams, but Spence all the way. Honestly, I think he'll just dismantle Crawford.
RG, are you riding with Spence as well, or?
I mean, at this point, I feel like you kind of have to hope Spence wins because he's just like a much more fun to follow fighter. He's had a lot of breaks in his career because of unfortunate circumstances, but he doesn't really have a lot of bullshit fights since he became a champion, and Crawford has like almost exclusively bullshit fights. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you put like a gun to my head, I'll probably pick Crawford, to be honest with you. I mean, I could see I'm not gonna like jaw on the floor if Spence wins. But
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just watching them both. I've kind of always just thought Crawford would get the better of him. If it ever. Which, to be fair, I mean, I guess Crawford's older. Go that route. He's 35. I'm not sure when his birthday is. Presumably he'll still be 35 I think he's 36 actually.
Yeah, I think he's 36, and his birthday's in September.
So the good thing about that, he was never like a freak speed guy. never got with Omar. He's just blindingly fast. Like that was never really the thing. It was always about timing and like shot selection. I don't really think that's declined. But it should be a great fight. I mean, presumably we'll get 2 of them. So
yeah, I think the word on the street is that it's a rematch clause for both guys. So it's a guaranteed second.
Definitely a banger.
Yeah, that overshadows, unfortunately, my guy Stephen Fulton and Inoue on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. They stole the thunder from Cool Boy and Inoue. But another one that's been officially announced finally is Callum Smith gets the challenge for the He's the WBC number 1 contender, challenging Artur Beterbiev. This is going to be in Quebec City. We were Drip and I were talking about this before we started, and like just how much do we rate Callum Smith's chances? He seems to be a little bit more hopeful than I am.
Yeah, ultimately I'm still going to give it to Beterbiev.
Yeah.
But
just how long does Callum Smith survive? I
don't know, dude, because I feel like after his Canelo performance, he definitely got a little better, it looks like. Because his Canelo performance was piss poor, if we all remember that. That was just bad. 12-round beating all around. So, I don't know. I think Beterbiev probably stops him, like, championship rounds, 10 or 11.
RG, any immediate reactions? Beterbiev, Callum Smith?
No, not really. Hopefully it's somewhat as fun to watch as Yard was. That was pretty fun.
Yard was a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, it was.
Hopefully Smith has some of that dog and can at least make it interesting to watch before it all comes down.
Yeah, Callum Smith needs some lions in his camp. I think that's...
Yeah, it's like Canelo just made him put the shell out like an hour or so. I have to imagine something similar will probably happen with Beterbiev.
All right, I think that's all the news that we got on the back end. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. I'm going to spare everyone the plugs. Going to have my homegirls outro take care of all that. So, gentlemen, parting words.
Every day's Get It Back Tuesday.
Facts. I'll second that.
All right, yeah, Get It Back Tuesday and fuck Tyson Fury. All right. That's the official LVX entertainment position. All right, boys. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
All right, peace.
There you go.
Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you have any questions or comments on what was discussed or have a topic you'd like to hear on the podcast, you can leave a message on our unattended phone line at 833-589-7637. That's 833-LUX-PODS. For more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lvxentertainment.net.